Anyway, we embarked on a vessel called a bibby liner, the Devonshire, which had been converted as a troop carrier, and in which we were very crowded. But then we disembarked again, and then we re-embarked again, and we never knew which was the real thing until one day we were actually underway. And we were rather impressively piped out of the Clyde by a piper. Off we went in a convoy, I forget how many ships, and we kept going in a westerly direction. And so we could almost hear the Americans chewing gum on the other side. We turned to the south and then again eastwards. I'm probably exaggerating rather, we just went round our island, I suppose. At any rate, it was when we had been afloat for quite a number of days that we were informed by Brigadier Laycock that we were in fact on our way to the greatest combined operation that had ever yet been undertaken, which was in fact the invasion of Sicily. However, we, the Marines, and I was part of that now, had the privilege, if you like, of being treated like seagoing Marines in being given duty on the air defense. And we became gun crews. And we did normal watches, which got us out from underneath and also away from the usually very crowded decks. Very fortunately, we were not attacked on our journey towards the Mediterranean, though at times at night one did hear the thump of the depth charges, which were aimed at U-boats, which may have turned a hostile periscope in our direction. And it was a bit uncomfortable to think that once one of those torpedoes came through we were below the waterline, there wouldn't be a dog's chance of getting out. It didn't arise, and in due course we passed through the Straits of Gibraltar, which was rather dramatic for us because on the one side there was the fortress of Gibraltar, the Rock, all dark. On the other side there were the bright lights of Algeciras, and it was very impressive for us to see, because by now we had for some time been used to the blackout at home as well. To see a town outlining bright lights was quite an adventure. And on we went, and joined an ever-increasing armada of vessels in the Bay of Tunis. But it was on the 10th of July that we set course for the southeastern tip of Sicily, on which we were intended to land.
1943.
This is 1943, 10th of July, and this armada of ships made for Sicily. We were intended to land on the extreme southeastern tip of Sicily. It is called the Cape Passero, near to the little town of Pachino. The weather started to deteriorate markedly, and in a way I believe that may have helped us, because we learned in due course that German units had been withdrawn from the area in which we were to land, because nobody felt that anybody could land in those conditions anyway. But also, of course, there were considerable and apparently successful intelligence efforts made, which convinced the Germans that we were going to land perhaps in Sardinia, perhaps in Greece, perhaps somewhere else, but not where we were actually going, although it was a pretty obvious place where to go. Well, the weather did get rather worse, and eventually we got into our assault boats. Now, the Devonshire had been equipped with the electric derricks on which these LCAs, landing craft assault, were suspended, and which could be which could be moved outboard, and the landing craft let down until they were exactly at deck level, and all the holds, all the rooms, if you like, in which we were on this ship had door switches. So as soon as you opened the door with the lights on, the lights would go out and we would only have a dim blue illumination to allow us to file out onto the decks. And off we went. And it really was very rough. The waves seemed to be quite formidable. But it was interesting to see the dark horizon disappearing, a sky full of stars, because it wasn't cloudy where we were, rushing one way, and then all the stars rush back and the horizon on the other side comes up again. It was really very lively indeed. However, in due course, we seemed to get into the lee of the Cape Passero, and suddenly the water became as calm as a mill pond. The Mediterranean can do that sort of thing. I've come across it again while I was in that area during the war. It can change its moods it seems like minutes almost. And suddenly it was steady, calm, quiet, except for the chirping of 1,000 cicadas as we were starting to approach the shore, and a great wave of semi-tropical aroma rolled over us, and we realized that we were about to land in a warm country. And the Italians, in their carefully camouflaged pillboxes, started to fire machine guns at us, but they used tracer bullets. Now we, being low in the water, the dark waters, in the middle of the night, were really not very visible. Nobody was even touched. We never had, nothing seemed to strike our craft anyway. But I'm afraid the tracer ammunition didn't give them much of an advantage, but it allowed us to see exactly where they were firing from. There were landings all up the east coast. There were landings on the south coast to the left of us, which didn't have such an easy rise as us at all. There were Americans who suffered quite a few casualties on landings. Oh, it was very plain to everybody that it was a full-scale invasion by then. And also there were parachute drops, British parachute troops, which were, well, they were dropped short. They were dropped into the water. A lot of them drowned. They were hung about with a lot of equipment, of course. So no, this was very much a major operation. And we got ashore with hardly any casualties, if any, I can't quite remember. And I'm afraid that we didn't actually land on the beach, but a little way off it. There was a false beach, which is a little hill, if you like, underneath the water, which then drops away again until you have the actual beach rising and rising out of the waterline. So we had rather a wet landing. It was important to keep weapons and radios and things like that out of the water, although we went in up to chest height. And we had a very nice Major, was it Pop Manners, who was short and squat. And he was the first to go, obviously. And he said, right, follow me, stepped off the ramp, and then there was a sort of plopping sound, and all you could see his tin helmet on top of the water. But nobody drowned either. And yes, we all got ashore as per plan, although much more slowly than one should, because we had to wade through the water and keep our equipment dry and all the rest of it.